Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Good
Hello.
evening.
I was waiting for somebody to say hey to know I was out there.
How's it going?
It's going well. I'm going to place you guys back on mute, or if you guys can help me out with that, and we'll go ahead and get started. Are you all able to see my screen shared right now?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Awesome. All right, so let me go ahead and get started with some introductions. My name is Michelle Lewis. I am the home ownership specialist. Actually, you know what? That's not my title anymore. I'm actually, as of yesterday, I am the community engagement specialist. So this is a new role for me with a shorter title because it used to be kind of both at the same time. But I do represent community development, economic development as well. And I am happy to be able to say this is our third installment of House Rules for Home Ownership. And this is how to choose a real estate agent. Before I introduce you to the best home ownership team in the world, I just want to go over some housekeeping tips really quickly. If you guys can put yourselves all on mute, that will help us get through everything. It's going to be very helpful because we have quite a few people that are on board and they're going to have lots of questions. The way we're going to handle questions for this, though, is at the end of the session. So that means we're going to allow our speakers to speak, and then we're going to answer your questions that you've typed in chat or you've typed on Facebook Live. In the comment section, those are going to be the questions that we read again at the end. That pretty much does that. I've introduced myself. I want to introduce my team members. I'm starting with Felicia Neal.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Felicia Neal. I am your mortgage loan coordinator. So once you get your house, find it with your agent, you're going to get it with your lender and send it in to me. So I'm looking forward to working with you all and enjoy the presentation.
Awesome. Great. Kirsten's not with us today. She's not feeling well. So I am going to now introduce our fearless leader. She is our director, Anita Allgood.
And hi, everyone. Yes, hi, everyone. My name is Anita Allgood, again, Director of Homeownership and Single Family Services. So happy that you are joining us today for our third installation. You are going to get great information from our two panelists today. And just as a reminder, don't forget, we'll be here again, same time next Tuesday for our last installment. So please join us then as well. And so I guess it is still my turn. Michelle, we're just going to move into the presentation. And I want to introduce everyone to our speakers tonight. So tonight we have Nia Knowles and Jerilyn Lewis of Area West Realty. So they are brokers of the Southwest Atlanta real estate company, Area West, with nearly 20 plus years of experience in real estate and community advocacy in affordable housing, senior inclusion, and ownership. Area West is a certified woman-owned small business and a women's business enterprise. They have received numerous awards and recognition from City of Atlanta council persons and communities that they serve, and they are also active involvement in community development. Area West has been voted consecutively a neighborhood favorite business since 2017. So without further ado, I will allow Nia and Jerilyn to get started with the presentation. Enjoy, everyone.
Thank you, Miss Anita and Michelle and the Invest Atlanta team. I'm glad to be here and really excited to continue to work with you and partner with you in ensuring our communities and constituents receive what's needed in order to navigate the homeownership journey. So tonight we're going to talk how to choose a real estate agent. Please change the slide. And who we are as a company. As Miss Anita said, we are local real estate agents. I like to say we're community advocates and neighbors first. We live right in the Southwest Atlanta. I live in Westview community, and Jerilyn is over in Sandtown. And how we got started is really seeing a need. I think we are somewhat an authority in this area, especially during this time of transition, because we established our company right when the economy had the downturn in 2007. And in that time, we were able to really navigate the storm. I like to tell people that, you know, I'm not only the president, I'm a client. If you were brought up in my era, there was a men's hair club that would say that. And I really can vouch for being a client in going through the acquisition of a home, losing a home, and navigating back again to finding the value in ownership. Please change the slide. Jerilyn.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jerilyn Lewis. As Nia said, actually, I live in Venetian Hills, which is my community association is Westford Sandtown. I've been licensed since 2005. Prior to that, I was doing investment real estate, buying homes, fixing them and selling them, buying them and renting them. So I've been in the business for longer than I've been licensed, but like I said, I've been licensed for since 2005, and I am the managing broker at Area West Realty.
Next slide. And I am Nia Knowles. Again, I live in Westview. I'm a yoga therapist and a mother of 3. And I am the broker owner of Area West Realty. Next slide. Our why. Our why is to break the cycle. This is very important to me. How we got established, as I said, was pretty much throughout our downturn. I purchased a home over here in the West End community in 2007, not knowing really what was going on with the market. Although I was a real estate agent at the time, the numbers were all over the place. They were showing homes being renovated and sold at $300,000, $400,000. And when I came to explore the West End community, it looked vibrant, it looked full, there were homes being renovated, and there were what looked to me to be neighbors. So I acquired my property at about $275,000. 2008, of course, we crashed. And I was helping my neighbors do loan modifications, short sales, and extinguish their properties for $25,000. You can completely imagine the devastation that I experienced. Here I am with the home at $275,000, and I'm selling my neighbor's home for $25,000. So we determined to get with our community and find out, how did this happen? What happened? How did this happen? And how can we work with neighbors to prevent such a devastation from happening to other people who decided to buy a property? How do they be smart about buying their home and their acquisition? How do they understand about what to look for in the neighborhood? And that's a little bit of how we got started, just to break the cycle and also to continue legacy. Homeownership is very important. I found it to be a key to wealth acquisition for my life, and I have been able to successfully help other people navigate that and see the value. Next slide. So legacy and wealth accumulation in owning a home. Why I use that and think that's important, and one of the key factors that I often speak with people about when they tell me they want to buy a home. I tell them that, you know, you want to own a home. Many of my neighbors have lived here in the West End community for, I mean, they've been renting for 10 years, 20 years and more. And now that the community is being redeveloped, many of the owners of these properties are selling their homes. So we have members in our communities that were pretty much family to me. They have grown up in this community. They've gone to Sylvan Middle School. They've gone to Venetian Hills Elementary School, Washington High School, and was hoping that their children would continue that legacy. Unfortunately, that is not occurring. Once an owner decides to sell their property and there aren't any other properties in our community that may fit their criteria, either by size or even by rental rate, then their family must relocate. So I say that owning a home provides a sense of emotional security. Can you imagine how traumatic that is for a child to get displaced and must leave their schoolmates behind, even though they were all deciding to go to the same high school? Another reason that owning a home is a key factor is for financial security. And I say this to people who always ask, financial security, how? Well, I am a single mom of 3. I've purchased my property below market value and have been successfully able to obtain somewhat of an equity loan from my home to put my children through school. So I tell you, it's emotional security, financial security, to where you're able to utilize some of your assets, not to the full extent of the value, but just a portion to help you move forward and further your life in ways that you may not have been able to do at other times. Next slide. So your why. Because having a why is really important in order to continue on the path and continue on with any plan that you set. So I'd like to take a moment. I know everybody is pretty much on mute, but if you can, type in the chat. I'd like to read some of your whys. You've taken the time out this evening and probably for the past 3 weeks in order to view Invest Atlanta information. So I would like to take a moment if anybody feel like sharing their why. Jerilyn, I'm going to ask you to state your why.
My why for purchasing a home?
Yes.
So my first why was I found basically it's for the same reason. It's financial security. And then you always, hope that you have a place to live. When you're renting and somebody does decide to sell their home, first of all, you usually don't have enough time to find something comparable. You may not be able to stay in your same neighborhood. So I bought my first home in the city of Atlanta. I had another home before I moved to Atlanta. I bought my first home in the city of Atlanta over in historic West End as well. I still have that home. I bought a multifamily home. I'm a single person, and so I didn't need anything real big. I didn't want to take care of anything real big. And so I bought a multifamily where I would have some income as well as a place to stay.
Okay.
I've since left that home and moved into my own home, but I still own that property, and I keep it because it does have equity in it should I ever have to tap into it.
Excellent. So we do have some that have come in from the chat. Their whys are Taylor Allen, to have something to call my own. Tamara says, Tamara, we'll save your question to the end. That's a great question, how to purchase a property below market value. Phil says to build equity and take advantage of appreciation in Atlanta market. Excellent. Tamara, I want to purchase a home because I understand the stability it provides for my family and legacy for the future. Excellent, Tamara. Excellent word, legacy. Nikisha, I want to invest to build equity. Jesselyn Rhodes, renting for 10 years and owner is interested in exploring other options. Jesselyn, we're going to get you out of that position. Tonight is your night. So anybody else, we're going to just save that. I'm not going to belabor this because I know you want to get to the questions. So next slide, please. So we talked about your why, and now we're going to go into your how. The first thing in order to accomplish your why, as we stated, is your how, and that is having the mindset being ready, as I stated here, this is not easy work, but it's legacy work. So you are thinking beyond your current need, your current circumstance, and the moment. You must have vision in order to accomplish this home buying goal. Next slide. So what should home buyers consider when buying a home and the future of the economy is uncertain? Jerilyn, do you want to take this one first, or?
I'm going to let you start. You wrote the question, so let me see.
You know, I talk a lot. So what should a home buyer consider when buying a home and the future is uncertain? I get this question all the time. People have been on my social media, Instagram, asking me, should I buy a home? Is now a good time to buy? How do we know if I'm going to have my job? And I always, everybody will tell you, the first thing I say is, you must live somewhere. You must live somewhere. So I ask people to really review their current circumstance. Now, if you are just transitioning into Atlanta for a moment, you've only been here a month, you don't really know about neighborhoods, I'm not going to twist your arm and tell you, yeah, you need to buy your home. We need to work out some other things. But for people who have been here a while and have been living and renting their current home for a year and looking at re-signing another 2 or 3 years, certainly buying a home is something that you should consider strongly. And even if the future is uncertain and the economy is uncertain, you need to live somewhere. Either you're going to pay your mortgage or someone else's mortgage. So in order to take those steps, there are key things to consider. Consider your employment. If you have a position that your job may be a bit uncertain, so when you go to look to purchase a home, of course, you're not going to purchase a home at the maximum amount that you can qualify for. And certainly you're not going to purchase a home that's a 1-bedroom apartment. I usually like to encourage people to purchase something not only that you can live in, but something that can also be an asset with appreciation and equity, but also provide an income, just in case you lose your job. Now, of course, nobody wants to live with someone else. Many people do not want a roommate. However, you also don't want to be homeless. So you want to think about all the different scenarios, and you want to ensure that you have your bases covered. And then the first step is to hire a realtor. Next slide, please. And Jerilyn, did you want to add anything to that?
Well, I was just going to add, because I saw in some of the comments, and you mentioned this before, but several people were mentioning that they were living in apartments or renting a home. And, now that the homeowners are able to sell and cash out, that means that now you have to find somewhere else to go. If you had owned your own home, then you don't have to be in that position.
Yeah. And then finding someplace else to go is not always easy. We have already in the city of Atlanta a rental shortage, and then escalating rental costs. There, if I had to rent in this economy, I would not be able to afford to rent. I would not be able to afford to rent a home that would be sizable for myself and my 3 kids. So, all right. So again, we're back to the first step you want to do is hire a realtor. And I wanted to, right off the bat, make this distinction because real estate sales agents are not required to be realtors unless they are with a broker who is affiliated with the Board of Realtors. Now, the Realtors Association is just an established organization. We are realtors. I appreciate the value the National Association of Realtors provide agents. And also for those who are consumers, you have an additional set of, I say, protections. We must abide by a code of ethics in order to operate and hold the designation of a realtor. So in addition to be accountable to the Georgia Real Estate Commission, any broker that we work for, you also are accountable to a board. So if you are encountering a realtor who is not treating you fairly or ethically, you do have resources that you can go to in order to report these agents. However, you know, for the realtors, you must ensure they are a realtor. So what is a realtor? A realtor or a real estate agent is more than just a person who opens houses. I know you'll see it all the time. I know you'll hear people tell you all the time, you don't need an agent. You can buy a home directly. All you got to do is go on Buy Owner and go ahead and submit an offer on auction.com. You don't need an agent. You can do this yourself. Well, an agent is there, that a person that you hire the real estate agent to work for you on your behalf and to advocate for you and ensure that you are getting taken care of. You're getting a property at a fair price. You are not being taken advantage of, and the transaction is going to be handled appropriately. So you want to make sure you hire a realtor with integrity and who can help you meet your home ownership goals. Now, this is key because I say not their goals in selling you a home, because you will have people that will sway you or go along with you, and they will gladly sell you a home at the highest amount that you are qualified for. But you also want your real estate agent to somewhat provide you with somewhat that devil's advocate in order to help you think. So our goal is to serve you. We want to get you into the home that you want, but we must do it responsibly and ethically. Next slide. So your realtor, what will a realtor do? I have a list that shows like 1,000 things that a realtor will do throughout one transaction. But I wanted to just condense it here so that you can kind of understand what our role is. And so your realtor will review your plans. They're going to sit with you. They will take notes. And the first thing I like to ask a buyer, what is it that you are looking for? And sometimes it takes a minute to pull this out of you because you have so much that you want. And when I ask you that question, then you kind of clam up and say, you know, I just want a good house for me and my children. And so you want to be very specific when you are speaking with your agent, because again, they're partnering with you in order to help you reach your goal. So they'll want to sit with you. They'll take notes about your desires. They'll work with you within your budget to accommodate your key items. Again, not everything on your wish list is something that you may be able to acquire within your initial purchase amount. So you want to get in mind that my first home may not be my dream home. My first home is my entry into this market. My first home may be my entry into acquiring a piece of the pie so that I can build on that and be able to afford the dream home. So have that in mind when you are going house hunting and making your list. Be flexible. So the agent will also provide you with listings and public information about the community. An agent just should not automatically put you on a listing distribution list where you get auto listings every other day that fit your 3-bedroom, 2-bath criteria. When you work with your agent and you hire them and you sign an exclusive agency agreement to work with this agent, they will begin reviewing listings that fit your criteria one by one and send you listings according to your criteria. And if there's a hit or miss here and there, they should be able to tell you why they sent it to you and why they feel it's a good home for you to review. Your agent will also provide you information about the community in which the home resides. And this could very well be public information, but it is not necessarily something that you should have to go and figure out. Then your agent will schedule home tours and community tours based on the homes that you select. tour the homes with buyers. And while my buyers are usually looking around, oohing and awing at the stainless steel appliances or the granite countertops, I'm looking for defects. Yes, or the sunken tubs or the backyard. I'm looking for the defects. I'm looking for any problems that may be structural or anything that may be a future problem for you. I'm looking for items that I can then further question the other sales agent in order to obtain the key answers for you to determine that, is this home even worth considering, or will it be a waste of time? So we'll be providing guidance for you throughout that process as well. We'll let you dream. We're not dream killers, because I love to ooh and ah too. However, we want to stay level-headed. So we'll provide you guidance on an offer price and negotiate for your purchase based on market data. So I say here, we do not make up prices. Oftentimes people come to me, they see a home listed for $200,000, they want to submit an offer for $100,000. We do not make up prices. So we will help you with that process in educating you on the current market, in educating you on comparable sales, in educating you on what kind of offer would be an offer that would be accepted, or whether it's an offer where they may have overpriced the home. So we do have room for negotiation. And naturally, we want to look at value. I love to make offers and acquire homes for less than the current value, the current market value. And how I do that is just review what other homes had sold for. I do a lot of home valuations and broker price opinions for banks and lenders, mortgage companies. So we are, as a team, able to do that and pretty much determine if a home is fairly priced or if there may be some wiggle room. Now, that also may depend on what the market is bearing and if other offers are on the table. So we also assist with coordinating your home inspection. So we're now to the home inspection part. You found your dream home, it passed all of our tests, and we want to get this home inspected. So we assist you in coordinating those inspections, because just because you have the home does not mean that the owner will be ready for inspection. And so we want to ensure that that process is smooth as well. So we maintain the lines of communication between lenders. We want to ensure that all of your paperwork is completed as we move forward towards closing. Because we do have due diligence and timelines and deadlines in place, we all have to communicate in order to make sure that we have a successful close or a successful termination. Because if you determine that you do not want to move forward with the home, we need to be able to terminate in a timely manner to protect your earnest money. So we renegotiate if needed with the seller, pending any home inspection results. So you have a home inspection and let's say some repairs are determined to be needed. Then we would renegotiate to either have the seller repair those items or have the seller do any concessions so that if need be, you can get those items repaired yourself. We coordinate your closing with a closing attorney and will schedule final inspections and review of the home with you to do your final walkthrough before we move to closing. Jerilyn, is there anything you want to add to this?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, next slide, please. So what should home buyers consider when selecting a neighborhood and location for their purchase? Next slide, please. I just want to. Okay, so these are one of the things you want to consider when you're considering your neighborhood and where to purchase. And I say that this is very personal because you must take inventory of your current lifestyle or the lifestyle that you want to have, your future lifestyle, because this will depend on how close you need to be by your place of worship, where your children go to school, how far you work, and the other areas you enjoy. So you want to take into consideration your lifestyle. Certainly, if everything you do is, on one part of the city is in Southwest Atlanta, it is pretty hectic to go and time consuming to go all the way on the north side, 400 every day. And you want to spend more quality time with your family and with the people that you normally socialize with. So you want to try to take into consideration, what is it you're willing to do? What is it the extent you're willing to live in order to make sure that your purchase match your lifestyle? Next is you want the potential for equity growth. And how long do you plan on living in that property so that it has time to accumulate equity? We've moved over here in the West End since 2007. So, it was high when I came in, and then it sunk really low. We were ground zero for mortgage fraud. I was selling homes as low as $10,000. I sold a home to one of my good friends at the time who was a college student for $10,000. Certainly, that was a great time to purchase. However, how many of you had the vision at that time to consider living in the West End when everything was foreclosing, everything was blighted, everything was abandoned? So you have to have some vision in order to make some decisions that will determine how sharp of equity growth that you want to have and how quickly you want equity growth. However, you can still achieve this in all of our neighborhoods. The West End, right now, well, the past year, it was on the upswing, and we saw homes selling for the mid 500,000s. And we were just wondering how, far can this go? And now you'll see it's pretty much cooling off. You'll see homes that have been lingering on the market for a while, for over a year. And this may be a good time to reconsider some of those properties and revisit some of those properties. Usually when there is turmoil in our economy, it is a pretty good time to consider an acquisition. So you want to, you don't want to wait to buy real estate. You want to buy real estate and wait. So next slide, please. And Jerilyn, did you have anything to add to that?
No.
I'm being cognizant of the time because I know we want to have some Q&A.
I'm trying not to get a conversation going. So once we get to the homebuyers questions, I'm sure I'll have more to add.
Sure. How can homebuyers become engaged and involved in their new community? Next slide, please. When I came into the West End and I experienced the trauma of losing my home here, I immediately got involved in the community because I wanted to know, how did this happen? Who left this community unguarded? Who was to blame? And then, I looked and said, it probably was me because I did live here and I didn't get involved to know what was going on. So instead of pointing blame, I said, let me get involved. Let me join the neighborhood associations. Let me join our neighborhood planning units and really work with the city to understand legislation, ordinances, or any plans that were on the books for my community. So I certainly urge everyone to immediately understand the communities that they are moving to. Even before you move, pretty much all the communities in town Atlanta have a Facebook site. And you can join them. And on nextdoor.com, you can review the conversations. You can see conversations about the crime, about the school district. You can see the concern the neighbors are having, whether or not they're fighting about flags or are fighting about drag racing. You're able to kind of get a peek inside. Visit neighborhood association meetings. Find out about their budget. What are they doing to encourage community involvement? What are they doing to not only protect homeowners, but all people, all residents who live within a community, the youth, the seniors, the tenants. So you want to take a look and just take time to attend their association meetings. Community gardens are a great start too. You can, get some sweat equity in there, build some friendships, and really form a sense of community that way. And alarm systems. The ring.com, you can go to the next slide, but the ring.com is a great source because that's one of the questions that people always ask me. What about crime in this community? If you have a ring and you join ring.com, you're able to see locations where things are hot spots. So here is all of our contact information. I know we've had a short time and I've been going on. I really want to get your questions and get an opportunity to probably meet with you one-on-one and continue the conversation. So you can check our website out, areawestrealty.com. You can email Jerilyn or myself directly, Jerilyn at Area West or Nia at areawestrealty.com. And check us out on social media. We're at Area West Realty on everything. On everything. Or you can just look us up on social media at Nia Knowles if you just want to see, do we practice what we preach? Who are we as people? Who are we beyond the company? We look forward to it. So Anita, will open it back up to you, or Michelle, so that you can open the floor for any questions.
Nia. That was awesome. Thank you so much. So I do see a couple of questions on the Facebook site. So I'm going to read those for you. And hopefully we'll get some other questions going. So Lee asks us, do you suggest a short sale versus regular home purchase in the Westview community?
Jerilyn, you want to answer?
I'm gonna try to address that. So Dee and I were also around when the whole short sale thing came, and we're actually certified short sale. I don't know what the title is anymore because I haven't done one in forever. But a short sale is when you're asking a bank to sell a property below what they loaned to the current buyer, to the current homeowner. So when you do a short sale, the process takes a little longer. And sometimes you don't know how long the process is going to take. I had a short sale that took about 8 months one time. So if it's something where you're going to have a set time frame, you've already given your landlord notice, or your landlord has given you notice, you've got 60 days to get into a house, I wouldn't count on a short sale.
Right.
There's just no guarantee. There's also not a guarantee that once everything is done, that the bank is going to come back and say, okay, yeah, you can buy this house at that price. So a short sale is not up to just the person selling the house. It's up to their lender to decide whether they're going to take a lower amount of money. So if you have the time to wait, a short sale could be a good way for you to get some equity in a home. But the timeline is tricky.
Right. And I think I would add to that, and you guys can let me know if this is still accurate, but the reality is that in an up market, it's very unlikely that a bank is going to approve a short sale. We would have to be in definitely a economy crash situation similar to what we went through in 2008. I think we've experienced a little bit of a dip, but I don't know if it's enough of a dip that would warrant a bank to say that they would approve a short sale. So it's just, to your point, not just up to the seller to say, hey, I'm going to sell you this property below what I paid for it. Okay, second question from Lee. Is it still suggested to get the best deal on a purchase is to get your own realtor versus utilizing the seller's realtor? So that's a good question.
I'm going to address that, not to say you'll get a better deal.
Right.
So when you go to purchase your home and you're not using your own realtor, you're at the discretion of really the seller, because the realtor selling the home for that seller is representing that seller. So you can say, I want to buy this home for this amount of money. She'll go back to the seller and say, hey, this is what he wants to pay you. But she's not going to try and convince him to take that offer because she works for him. When you have your own realtor, they advocate for you. And it, not just during the offer portion of the home buying, but even when you have your home inspection and you want to get repairs done, you need somebody who's going to advocate for you. And even though it seems like you're going to get a good deal if you just go straight to the seller, you may, but you may also find yourself in a heap of trouble down the line, because then you're fighting with the seller and the seller's realtor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so are realtors able to see other offering prices for prospective buyers, other offers?
Are you saying during the offer?
Yes, I would imagine the question is, during the bidding process, if you will, are you able to see offers from other buyers?
We are not.
Okay.
We are not.
So back to Tamara's question on how to purchase a home below market.
Yeah, you want to take that one?
Sure. So this is one of the things I look for when I go to work with people in acquiring properties that are below the market value. And the below market value may not be as significant as you think. You may have just acquired a property not at the price that other average 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom homes are going for, where they may be going on average and appraising for $515. You may get that 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom property for $510. So, it may have appraised for $515, but you got it for the $510. So you got it for below the prices others are going for. What I look for is somewhat like I tell people all the time, I look for the ugly duckling. I don't want to be the most expensive kid on the block. I don't want the house that's all decked out. I don't mind give me the house that needs some improvement. Give me the house that's a stable home, a good foundation, and I can come in, I can change out fixtures, I can change out the paint. I don't care that the rooms are yellow and pink. I can do that. And I don't mind not having the same Home Depot tile that everybody else have. I can do that. So that's how you acquire something that is slightly below market. You got to put some sweat equity in it, and you got to think beyond the box and have vision. Make this your baby. Make this your home. This is the seed that you want to be able to plant and reap the benefit of it growing, no matter which way the storm go. You do not want to be the kid on the block that costs the most.
Right. And I'll just add to that, Nia. We talked a little bit about it last week when we had a mortgage lender here, but to Nia's point, maybe taking on a renovation loan, a property that can utilize a renovation loan is a really great way to get a property that is affordable, and then turn it into something that's fantastic. Because we all know from watching the Property Brothers, when you buy it already done, it's unaffordable. It's really expensive and unaffordable. But if you choose a renovation loan and then turn it into something spectacular, that is an affordable way to do it.
So, Anita, to your point, there are homes that need renovation loans, but there are some, and I just saw somebody asking about an ugly duckling. Mm-hmm. An ugly duckling could be a 1950s ranch that has been well maintained, but has pink bathrooms. It has laminate countertops. It has the double ovens that are really small. They're not to today's standard. All of that stuff is still functional, and that's stuff that you can change over time that don't necessarily require a renovation loan.
Right.
So you can get an ugly duckling without the renovation loan. But if you need something, if you want to do major changes in the home, you will need that renovation loan.
Exactly. Okay, so timing seems to be a bit tricky. Do we engage a realtor prior to securing a mortgage? What's that timing like?
I can say that I have taken on clients prior to getting a mortgage. The problem is I don't want to get their hopes up and take them out to see real expensive homes only for them to realize that they're not going to be able to afford them.
Right.
Now, I tend to have us do it kind of at the same time while we're narrowing down, the styles you like, how many beds and baths you like, the neighborhoods you like. And normally when I start with a client who knows nothing about the city, we go on a whirlwind tour. I take them through different neighborhoods and I say, this is what's going on in this neighborhood. This is what's going on in this neighborhood. Just so they get an idea of, what the city of Atlanta has to offer them. And while I'm doing that, before we go out and actually have them fall in love with houses, they're working with the lender to try and get pre-qualified.
Right. Absolutely. And some agents, and I'm just going to put this out here because I know it to be true, some agents will not take you out if you have not been pre-approved for a mortgage, because to Jerilyn's point, they don't want to spend time showing you homes that you may not be able to afford. So some will insist that you get pre-approved for your mortgage first. Okay, so what are the options if everything is out of my price point? I guess, that was the ugly duckling question. So I guess you answered that, Jerilyn. And those were really good options. Do you recommend buying land and then building, or buying a house already built?
So Anita, I don't think they have that option with you, right?
Well, if you're going to utilize our down payment assistance, then that is not an option. If you want to build new, then we require that you go into a new construction subdivision and then you pick out your lot, all of your finishes that way. We will not allow you to buy land and then build on it. And the reality of that, I'm just going to be honest with you, is that you don't have the experience to do it. And we want to ensure for our first time home buyers or our new home owners that, they're building, they're using a builder that is experienced and is going to get that project done in a timely manner. And so if you're using our down payment assistance, or just about anyone's down payment assistance, I would venture to say, you're not going to be able to utilize that process. However, it is open to you if you don't need down payment assistance. Okay. So Wayne says renovation loans are done. And then I also saw a question from Lee Bias. Our lenders said last week that that most lenders are not supporting renovation loans right now. We do have one that is still doing renovation loans. But in this kind of COVID environment, they have reduced their risk. Many lenders have reduced their risk and just aren't doing them right now. I wouldn't call them done. I'm certain that they will be back. But we do have one lender on our participating lender list that is still doing renovation loans. It was not the person that spoke last week. And of course, I wasn't going to interrupt him and say that, but the reality is that we do have one on our list that is still doing renovation loans. And I'm happy to send that information to you if you email me directly.
And Anita, I just want to interject here, regardless whether or not they're not doing them now,
Mm-hmm.
We're in a temporary situation.
Exactly. Yes. Absolutely.
And so I think you're reading that from a chat somewhere, but I just wanted to, let people know that this is a process. This is a process, and it is not a process that I'll wait and then next week I'm going to get on it and then think I'm going to get a deal when the market is changing. Exactly. If you wait until things are changing and looking, like the economy is going up, everybody's buying again, then you have missed an opportunity, because you didn't allow this time to be the time that you begin to educate yourself, review neighborhoods, review, the properties that are out there in order to make a decision when you are ready to pull the trigger on whether you're going to do a renovation loan or acquire a new construction or just buy a regular resale. So don't let what lenders aren't doing right now because of our COVID situation impact what decisions that you possibly may make after 3 months of viewing homes.
Absolutely. Perfectly said, Nia. So given that Invest Atlanta is not doing classes, how do you get qualified for a reno loan? So first, Invest Atlanta is absolutely doing classes. We're just not doing them in person. So our Q&A sessions are online. And when you go to our website, you can see where you can take our Q&A session via webinar, via recorded webinar. So that is how you get your Q&A session done. Our homebuyer education partners are also offering homebuyer education courses online. So that is how you get that portion of the process done. And then of course, all of our participating lenders are still happy to get you pre-approved and pre-qualified for a mortgage. And then of course, as per Nia and Jerilyn have just told you, they are ready and willing to take you out and show you properties that you can get qualified for. So to Nia's point, we are in the midst of COVID, but the reality is that everything that you need to get ready for homeownership is still available to you right now today. It's just being done in a different way. Okay, so it's important that you, again, seek out that information, get that knowledge, take the necessary steps, and move yourself forward in the process. Don't let COVID keep you from moving yourself forward in the process. Okay, and so I do also see, guys, a number of lender questions, and you can view that lender presentation on our Facebook page, on the Invest Atlanta Facebook page. If you want to go back and review the lender presentation, it is available to you, as will this presentation be available. Someone asked that question as well. On Facebook, you can go back and watch any of the 4 sessions that we're doing for Homeownership Month, okay? So this is an interesting question. Rob says, what do you think the problem is getting families to understand the value of owning a home?
What the problem is?
Yeah, I mean, and I have some thoughts, but I'll let you guys chime in first, if you've got any thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead, Jerilyn.
There you go.
Because I'm long-winded. But anyway, so what is the problem to get families to understand the value in owning a home? Well, one, it is a scary thing. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, it's just buying a house. It is a scary thing. And if you do not have a history or other people in your family or a pattern to which to have shown you that this is how the process will work, it's a big decision. And, we generally tend to stray away from things we don't understand. We don't like feeling stupid. So right. You need people and agents who are willing to, I'm not a real estate agent. I tell people all the time, I'm partnering with you through this process. I have been there, and it is scary. And I understand all the concerns about the economy, the job loss, whether or not you're going to find one your size. However, I am there to help you through it and educate you through the process, to show you, not just tell you, yeah, you got to buy a home and that's it, But these are the steps to how you buy a home, why it impacts your family, and why it's important. This is why I like to meet the potential home owners that I work with, the buyers that I work with. Before we even go out and let's just go look at homes, I want to sit down with you. I want to understand you. I want to understand what's important to you so that I can be a better asset and service for you.
Right. And so to piggyback off of that, Nia, I would agree. I call it, analysis paralysis. And ultimately, it is rooted in fear. It is simply rooted in fear. I'm not sure if most of you know, but I'm a former lender, 15 years of lending experience before I joined Invest Atlanta. And I can't tell you how many times I spoke with folks and they said, oh no, I can't buy, my credit is not good enough to buy a house. Mm-hmm. And I would pull the credit and the credit is perfectly okay. So folks really kind of standing in their own way in the process. And you just have to get past the fear and you have to take the first step. You just have to take the first step. And even if a lender is to say, you cannot qualify right now, you're going to get the necessary steps that you need to take to get in position to be mortgage ready. You just have to do it,
Well, and I think down payment has always been a problem also. When you have people who are renting and, just living and just trying to pay their bills, pay their car note, mm-hmm. they're able to sustain all of that, but they don't have the down payment. Right. So I think that's why a program like Invest Atlanta has allowed a lot of people to overcome that fear, because now they've got a way. Their credit may have always been good, but it was a matter of accumulating the cash for a down payment. So now they have it. And then, I just sold a home to a lady who lived in New York all her life, and they rent. So she had rented, this was her first house at the age of 60. And she didn't think she could buy. She came down to visit her niece here who had bought a house. And she was like, wow, you know what? I've never owned a house. And I said, well, what's the problem? And she moved down here and she bought a house. This was her first house. But it was just what she was used to. She was used to renting all her life.
And Jerilyn, you know my story. I helped my grandmother build her home, and she was 89. She relocated from New York, same situation, renting her entire life. And she said, before I pass, I want to own my own home. And very interesting, but she was able to get a mortgage at 89. And we built her home in Douglasville. So yeah, those stories are real.
Definitely. Okay, so is it correct that you can still be eligible for Invest Atlanta if you want to build on, oh gosh, I'm reading the same question. Sorry, guys. I have a really great lender, but I just found out he does not do new builds. I'm so conflicted. I only want to continue working with him. And so I would say to that, if you really, really like your lender, then you're going to have to operate within the parameters of that lender and that bank. If for some reason, you want to do something that's outside of the scope that he can do, then you may have to, and if you're insistent on it, then you're obviously going to have to change lenders if that's what you want to do. Okay, will this slide deck be available? Yes, we will provide you with the deck after the presentation. What are cautions in estate sales, ladies?
So what I found with estate sales, a lot of times they seem like they're straightforward. You have, mom died, left the house to the kids, but then you have a probate process. And that sometimes delays the closing. And if you're, again, this is a time factor. If you're having to get into a house in a certain time frame, it's going to be tricky because I've gotten all the way down to 2 weeks before closing. The closing attorney has pulled the title and come back and said, oh, wait a minute, we've got to advertise this house for probate. And then it's got to go through a probate situation, and it could take 60 days. Nia, we had that with the last deal we did. We had a probate situation. How long did that take? We were supposed to close in the middle of like May, and we ended up closing when? In July, June?
Yeah.
Not May, March. And then we ended up closing like a month after closing. So that's the only thing that I find with estate sales, is that you may get held up in probate while you're waiting to close on your house.
And then also, what I found that have been siblings and arguments, and who can sell the house and who can't sell the house, and the person who is the executor is all for selling the house but then have a change of heart because he don't want to have hard feelings with the rest of the family, and now you got a
how much they sell the house.
Yeah, you got a contract. Yeah. So yeah, estate sales, you can though, get really great homes from an estate sale. I mean, homes, especially in our historic neighborhoods like Collier Heights and, up in Beecher and Cascade. However, that is one of the main questions that I usually ask when I'm calling on an estate sale. Has this already been through probate? How many people must decide if this home receives an offer? And is it all squared away, and can we, make an offer and close? And then also, will you be leaving this stuff in a house? I had a house.
Wow.
That it wasn't
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it wasn't really clear what was coming and what was going. And, I'm dealing with that situation now, and they're deciding everything is staying in the house. So to the buyer's surprise, they are getting a boatload of stuff, but this buyer didn't want that stuff. So now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, ladies, what are your thoughts about the likelihood of obtaining a multifamily home in Fulton County or DeKalb County in today's market in the low 200,000 range? It seems like there's a ton of competition with investors. Are there any areas in particular to look at a better chance of securing such a home?
So there have been competition with investors, but Jerilyn, I think we even have a listing over here in the West End that's a duplex, and it hasn't received a ton of offers on it. So I would say yes, you can find it, and then also probably really right now, because the investors who are acquiring property, a lot of their guidelines have changed due to COVID. So many of these investment companies and lenders have pulled back and have a lot of restrictions on the acquisition and the asset. So yeah, you could probably find some duplexes in our Atlanta communities that you can acquire. Now, will they be, you can, get in there and live like a king or queen? You may have to do some work, because they may have been occupied by residents who were knowing they were going to be there just for a short period of time, and they didn't respect the property.
Okay, so is down payment assistance in one particular area or all over the city? Our incentives are available inside the city limits of Atlanta. We have one program that is neighborhood specific, and it is Vine City Renaissance Initiative. And so I would suggest that you guys join us next week, because the topic is down payment assistance on next Tuesday. Okay, so can you tell us who's doing the renovation loans? I put it in the chat, so please look in the chat if you're looking for that information. Everything on the west side are overpriced, and the lower priced ones need renovation. Yes, that's probably accurate. Okay. You guys are asking for my email. I gave you my colleagues' emails for your questions. It's in the chat as well, please. Since I've completed my Q&A and homebuyers course, am I qualified for a renovation loan? No, you must get qualified with a renovation lender, okay? Those first two steps are steps you need to take to get down payment assistance, but you're still going to have to get qualified for a mortgage loan, okay? Let me see. So I've got a bunch of student loan questions, and what I would suggest that you guys do, please go back and watch the lender presentation from last week, because he does address student loans and how that impacts your approval. So do realtors look at HUD lists for clients as well as the current market?
We do.
Yeah.
Oh, Nia, I'm sorry. You're answering. You're writing questions. Okay. Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't want to miss Tamara because she's asked a few, and I think I missed her answering her.
Oh, no question. No worries. I'm just trying to go down the list and make sure that we get everybody. All right. So Nia, you were talking to me about the 89-year-old person. I want to have a home in my life. That's sweet.
Yeah.
So to be clearer, I am asking if you want to tear down a portion of the home and use an architect and builder to redesign it. Is it permissible with the Invest Atlanta program? So yes, it is, because we have a down payment assistance program that is coupled with a renovation loan. And with particular renovation loans, you can tear down an existing home and rebuild it. I don't necessarily advise that for a first-time home buyer. That's more than a notion. And you are going to, be responsible for a lot more than just picking out a house and having Nia or Jerilyn write you up a contract. And so, we may do another presentation just on renovation loans, because we're having a lot of questions about that. And we know that they're coming back, even if most lenders are not doing them right now. So we'll consider doing a session just on renovation loans, okay? So what are some recommendations for a first-time home buyer also preparing for law school? Is there a recommended timeline to purchase after graduation when time constraints are less stringent?
I'm not sure I understand the question. I mean, if
I would say yes.
Well, I guess it's kind of twofold. Like, are you working your way through law school? Can you show your taxes and everything for your financing?
Can you qualify?
If you're able to qualify for a loan, there really is no timeline. You can just go on and purchase. So I'm trying to figure out, are you not going to be working after law school, or?
Yeah. Kiana, maybe you can expound upon that for us, and maybe we can get a better answer for you. So do you think the prices of homes will decrease within the next 3 to 6 months?
I wish I had a crystal ball to answer that. I mean, I think at this point we're seeing where they're starting to stabilize. They're not going up the way they did before. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the market as it has been, but there was a moment where every time you put in an offer, somebody else put in an offer $20,000 to $30,000 over the asking price. I don't see that happening as much anymore. And Nia, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I agree. I definitely see that they are stabilizing. One of the reasons you're going to find that there's not going to be drastic decreases is because many of these homes were acquired by investors that have loans in order to rehab them. So they must sell them for a certain amount. And that's why you'll probably see homes remain on the market at the same price for, a certain amount of time. And then that investor may opt to, while it's remaining on the market, rent it or list it as an Airbnb, because there are certain numbers that they must make in order to be able to, pay back the debts that they owe.
Gotcha. So do you all assist with purchasing homes that may not be currently listed on the market?
So I don't necessarily work as a bird dog or a person who just goes scouting and digging for homes and calling up people asking them, do you want to sell your home? I have a buyer. I don't do that. However, I do know a number of people and who will come to me prior to listing a home and may ask me, do you think you'll have a buyer for my house? Here's the situation. I'm relocating or whatever the situation may be. And then they will ask, can I find a buyer for them prior to listing? Or they may not even want to necessarily have it publicly listed. So in those scenarios, I will get homes that aren't listed, but I do not do door-to-door knocking and ask people, can I sell your home, especially for people who, don't have an interest in it. And certainly not in communities where I know they have experienced a huge amount of devastation from people pretty much getting them out of their home for below market value.
Absolutely. So do realtors provide more attention with a contract?
For myself, it is important for us to sign a contract and come to the understanding that we are working together as a team. In that agreement, it outlines my responsibility as an agent, and it outlines your responsibility as a buyer, that you will be tentative and available and be working with your mortgage lender and submitting the documentation timely in order for us to have a good relationship and reach the goal that you want. So I do only work with clients on a contractual basis and take them to show homes at that point. If they're not willing to work on a contract, that kind of raises a red flag. And then I usually will begin to ask questions of why, because it could be a matter of them feeling that, I don't want to be stuck. You may not be a good agent. I may not gel well with you. And in that case, I'm able to kind of ease their concerns and let them know that you do have the right to terminate. And I will allow you to terminate our brokerage agreement without any questions. I'm not going to say, why don't you want to work with me? I thought we were getting along so well. No, you have the right to do that. And it shouldn't be any questions asked.
Awesome. Okay. Let me see. How soon before your lease is up should you start looking for a home or applying for a mortgage? Great question.
What was the question? I missed that one.
How soon before your lease is up should you start looking for a home or applying for a mortgage? How far in advance before your lease is up? You can't, because you're not going to be able to just jump out there and be in a home.
Yeah. So I have two schools of thought on that. So if you're just starting with your mortgage process and you don't really know where you want to live, I think you should start looking sooner than later. If you already have down, I'm going to live in this area, this is the kind of house I want, I've already been approved for this amount, then, if you're looking 6 months in advance, you may find a house in 30 days. Then you've got 5 months left on your lease. Can you get out of your lease early? Otherwise, the seller's not going to wait for you to get out of your lease in order for you to buy that property. So timing is going to be on an individual basis. Like if you call me 6 months ahead, we'll start the process moving, get you, pre-approved, get you looking at some houses, kind of narrowing down neighborhoods. But putting in an offer and expecting a seller to wait 5 months isn't going to work.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, someone asked about the web series. We will not start this web series over next month, but all of the workshops are available on our Facebook page. We are very likely going to find some additional topics and continue our web series just with other things we think would be beneficial for you all to hear. Do you guys think that more homes will be available after the city reopens?
I know that more people are still working on renovating homes to get prepared for lists. So I certainly do know that our inventory, there's going to be additional homes coming to market because a number of homes were in process prior to COVID in the city closing. And many of them had to hold off on getting their final inspections and their occupancy certificates and, figuring out how they can get their team to finish. Just driving around the city of Atlanta, you can see people are beginning to work on houses again, doing roofs. And so, yeah, there will be additional listings.
Awesome. Okay.
I think also some of those people who didn't want people in their houses during COVID
Sure.
are going to say, okay, I think it's safe now to let people in to see, on the non-vacant homes. I think they're going to say it's safe to come in now. So that may be another thing that'll open up some more housing.
Awesome. All right, so Kiana clarified for us. She says, to clarify, being a full-time employee and part-time law student can monopolize a lot of time. How much time should be dedicated to the search and working with a realtor?
So that's going to depend on how picky you are. I mean, if I have to show you 3 houses versus 10 houses, that's going to take less time. So I can't really say it's going to, it's not like we're doing this 40 hours a week. It may take you a couple hours a week to go see what's new on the market. So I don't think it should stop you from trying to find a house while you're doing that.
And I had a client who was in a similar situation, a full-time employee and also a law student. She acquired her home throughout doing both. We just had to work with the schedule that was given. But she was dedicated. She was committed, being like, I'm sure you're in law school. So you have a mind that's able to focus and kind of go after what you want. But having a set schedule was key for it. We knew Saturday morning, 9 a.m., we were looking at homes. And she put it on her calendar as if it was, her job or a school assignment. So that Saturday mornings between 9 and 11, we were looking at homes.
Great. Okay, so Miss Lanton wants to know, she bought a house and bought and sold a house 40 years ago, could still be considered first-time home buyer? And the answer to that question is yes. The true definition of a first-time home buyer is that you have not owned a property in the last 3 years. So if it's been more than 3 years, then you are considered a first-time home buyer. Okay. Let's see. We are 62 years old and our daughter lives near the city in Brookhaven in a very pricey area. She's expecting a baby in October and we rent in Marietta and want to move closer to them. We don't have a down payment and we're wondering if we should buy or rent.
So you want to move closer to your daughter in Brookhaven. You're 62 years old and currently live in Marietta. So this again is a question that is personal. You want to consider one, your daughter, I would assume she owns the home in Brookhaven, because you don't want to go buy a house in Brookhaven and your daughter is leasing and then, she decide to move somewhere else because now you have that home.
They're adding a second floor.
The next thing you want to consider are your finances and retirement. What does your retirement look like? What do you think you will be doing in retirement once you get there? And the cost to rent in the location that you're going to. You've already stated Brookhaven is a pricey area. So you want to consider the use of your resources now. You are coming to a point where you are ready to enjoy your family. You are ready to enjoy the fruits of your labor, your daughter, your grandchild, and you do not want to have to consider how you're gonna meet rent and make ends meet. So this is personal, but those are some of the factors you might want to take into consideration when making that decision, whether you should look more into buying or renting.
Okay. So everybody is asking about the renovation lender. Guys, I put that in the chat, but that individual's name is Eric Pepper. He is with Academy Mortgage. You can find his contact information on our website, but it is also in the chat. And his name and company is in the chat. Okay. So to be pre-approved, you have to have pay stubs for 30 days, and you're going to need them for longer than that. But with COVID going on, do you have to wait until you get 30 days of pay stub, or can they look back at previous pay stub? They can look back. They can look back to determine whether or not your income will qualify for a mortgage. But their underwriter is going to want current pay stubs, especially in this COVID environment. They're going to want to confirm that you are still working and that you still have your current job. So don't feel like you have to wait to speak to a lender. Go ahead and speak to them and present them with the pay stubs, the most recent pay stubs that you have for review. Okay. Are either of you NACA certified? Do you work with that program, or do you like working with that program?
So I did get NACA certified. I don't think it's currently up to date. I got certified in 2017 to work NACA. Do I like working the program? So the program right now, Invest Atlanta's program, in my opinion, offers greater flexibility and options. I think, Invest Atlanta is pretty much king right now for people who are looking for the advantages of owning a home, and you do not have to have a credit score of 720 or 750 to have the down payment assistance at the amounts that they are offering is truly exceptional and unheard of. And also, our older homes in the city of Atlanta do not have a problem going through their rigorous inspection. NACA home inspectors are certainly very qualified and detailed. However, their strengths lie in newer construction and new construction. Many of our historic homes have unique characteristics that are, indicative of their build, of their 1920 structure, or even the 1980s structure, in their quirkiness just adds to the charm. So I've had a tough time of getting NACA homes and loans to process smoothly within a lot of our historic neighborhoods in Atlanta.
Okay. What kind of role does your current employment status play, if any, when qualifying for a mortgage? It matters because the bank wants to know that you have current employment. And guys, I'm just answering these mortgage questions, and I'm going to, because we're running out of time. So I want to make sure that we get to all of the agent questions. So what I'm going to say, guys, is if you've got mortgage questions, please go take a look at the loan officer presentation, because many of these questions will be answered. Okay. Is it often that the seller will cover the fee to break the rental lease if you are trying to buy a home but stuck in an apartment lease?
I've never had that occur, that a seller would pay you in order to break your lease. And especially in this market where we had a number of people interested in buying a home. In the last market, we had many sellers who, didn't even want to contribute to closing costs, which is why we were heavily pushing, Invest Atlanta, because we had sellers that didn't want to provide certain things like a refrigerator. They had multiple offers and they just were not trying to give a little. However, I don't know. Jerilyn, have you worked with any sellers?
I've had a seller cover breaking a lease once, and it was just for the last month. So I've never had a seller come in and say, I'll pay the last 5 months of your rent to break the lease. I mean, they may give it to you in closing costs, trying to offset your price so that you have more cash and you can pay that yourself, but they don't typically say, here's monies towards your lease. So like I said, I've only had it once, and it was only for the final month of the lease. And that was just to get the thing covered quickly because she had a confusion with when her lease was up.
Mm-hmm. Are there particular, go ahead.
Can I go back to one thing? Courtney had sent a question about down payment assistance. And I just wanted to let her know that we've mentioned the West End just because that's where we live and that's where our office is. But it's available in other places as long as it's within the city of Atlanta. Because I've sold things in East Atlanta. I've sold things over in Collier Heights. I've sold things in Vine City. So it's not just for West End. We were mentioning that because that's where our office is.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I'm sorry, I skipped over that because I thought I had answered that question. Okay, are there particular zip codes that are best to look in for a home?
I think that goes back to Nia's whole spiel during the beginning, where it's that, you need to look at your lifestyle, where you work, what your commute time you want it to be. Some people want walkable neighborhoods where they can just, they may want to be in Midtown where they can go downtown and be in the hustle bustle. So I'm going to say no to that question.
Okay. Do lenders loan owners with Social Security and pension incomes only? Yes, they absolutely will. And it will just depend on whether or not that income will allow you to qualify for a mortgage. But yes, absolutely. So Ashley asked, do you recommend any repairing sites or trusted companies? So I'm guessing like Fix-It Handyman, things like that. Do you all recommend those type of services to your home buyers?
So yes, we generally provide a list that they can select from of trusted repair representatives and specialists, but we give you a list. We don't necessarily say, here's this, one guy you need to go to, or this is this one girl. We give you a list of people that we have worked with who have provided good service for us or for any of our clients in the past, and who have the references. And we do recommend that you speak with a number of people before making the selection and asking for references as well, reviewing any of the work that they may have that they could present to you and show you their work. And, when you make your decision.
Perfect. So can you talk a little bit about real estate commissions?
So, Jerilyn?
No. You go.
Oh, I thought you said no. No, we can't tell you what we're getting. Secret. So, so how the commission come into play is if I'm working with you as your buyer's representative, I primarily will take you to homes where there are a cooperating broker, the seller's agent, The seller hires their agent and offers them a commission percentage. It's whatever the percentage that they negotiate. And that agent will list their property on the market, the multiple listing system, which is a co-op organization that we have agreed to work as realtors and co-op together. And then they list their listing there and tell us the percentage of the commission or flat fee of the commission that they're willing to split with us for bringing a buyer to the table and doing a deal with them. Now, we have had instances where I've had a buyer who did not want to work a transaction that was on a multiple listing system, but they already had a particular home in mind. They, pretty much did a lot of the footwork, and they was like, "Nee, I just need you to represent me, make sure I have the correct paperwork, make sure we're doing this all correct, and I will pay you a percentage." And so, again, commissions, there is no necessarily set price. I know people like to say, this is what agents get all across the board. And there is no set price. There may be a general price that most agents have agreed to accept in order to remain competitive. However, the commission is negotiated on a one-on-one basis with whoever's paying.
So there's no industry cap. It can go as high as it can go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. All right. So do you have any suggestions on how to get a good feel for a neighborhood while things are still somewhat locked down?
Yeah. Facebook. No. That's where it all hangs out. And I'm a stalker of communities. But all of the neighborhoods, I said this in our presentation, have a Facebook page. And then they have user groups and groups within the communities that created their own page. They have subgroups. And you're able to kind of read a lot about what's going on, and where people mindsets are while they are in this lockdown state. Being in this lockdown state is also a great time to really walk communities and walk the neighborhoods and walk the streets, look at the houses, look at the housing stock, see how many people are home, see what's happening while we're in lockdown. If you see everybody on the street having a party, that ain't the block you want to live on. But you can do a lot in this COVID time.
I agree. So Erica Hughes, jumping over to Facebook, says, for renovation loans, do you have to know that before you get pre-approved? So instead of applying for a conventional loan, that you are applying for a renovation loan? I would say yes, because the criteria for a renovation loan is going to be slightly different. However, if you originally applied for an FHA loan or a conventional loan and decide you want to do a renovation loan, that's kind of an easy review for the loan officer, because they've already got the information. They'll just cross-reference it, cross-check it against the renovation loan requirements to determine whether or not you qualify for that loan the same way you may have qualified for just a conventional loan. Okay. Nikki Powell gave you hand clap for your touring skills. She said you were awesome for taking her on a tour. Let me see what else we have over here. So lots of thank yous and great presentations. Let me see if we've gotten everything. How do you find the different groups for the separate neighborhoods?
So one of the things that I like to use is Wikipedia, and you just look up City of Atlanta, and you can look up City of Atlanta neighborhoods. They have them broken down by north, south, east, west. They have communities that aren't even named anymore. And then once you know the names and look at the maps to understand the locations of these communities, you're able to go on Facebook or just do a Google search and put in that neighborhood name, whatever that neighborhood is, Atlanta, and it will bring you information up about that community.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I would also recommend, that if you have not taken the Beltline tour, please take the Beltline tour, because it is 3 hours of touring in-town neighborhoods. And I promise you, you will see things you have never seen in your life living in Atlanta. The reality is we all have a pretty set path and circle that we travel. And if you're not normally going in a certain direction, they're just things that you're not going to see. So the Beltline tour is a great way to see neighborhoods, understand the history of the neighborhoods, also understand what's coming to the neighborhoods. And so, I believe they have the tour every Saturday and Sunday. I'm not sure what the cost is. It used to be free. I do believe there's a cost for it now, but taking the Beltline tour is an awesome way to see neighborhoods that you're unfamiliar with.
I'm going to agree with Anita on that. I've taken the tour probably 3 or 4 times.
Me too.
And I always learn something new. Nia does a senior tea for our seniors every month. And we took the seniors on a Beltline tour, and they loved it. So if you can get on the bus, because it does get crowded at times, but if you can get on a Beltline bus, I suggest you do it as well.
Absolutely. Okay, so D. Williams says, Atlanta native here, there's a lot that surprised me. So true. So Beltline tour currently closed down, FYI. I would imagine so during COVID. Mm-hmm. So listen, just make sure you check back on those things that may not be available to you right now, but definitely helpful, okay? And guys, I think we have covered all of the questions. Hey guys, if I did not answer your lender question, that was kind of by design, because I wanted to try to keep it to our real estate agents. So please go back and watch the lender presentation. It's available on our Facebook page. And I just want to say thanks to everyone for being here. Thank you for our gracious presenters, Jerilyn Lewis and Nia Knowles of Area West Realty. They are awesome ladies. They always come through for us. They're well-versed in our down payment assistance programs as well. So I just want to thank you ladies for being here. Thank everyone else for being here. Also ask that you all join us next week, please. Same time, same bat channel for our down payment assistance, Invest Atlanta down payment assistance programs that you guys were asking about. Today, I'm going to make you come join us again next week and get the answers to those questions, okay? And I'm going to hand it back over to Michelle.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Nia and Jerilyn. You guys are so awesome. Everyone, thank you so much for logging in with us tonight. I'm going to make sure that you get contact information for our speakers, as well as their PowerPoint presentation, and a link to the Facebook Live so that you can look at this again if you need to. That link will also, of course, land you on our page to be able to look at the other Facebook Lives that we've done so far this home ownership month. But again, thank you so much. This has been great. And we hope to see you again next week. Have a great night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.